pops told me I wouldn't. That's a thesis I can't never make no peace with. My pops told me I wouldn't be shit. That's a thesis I can't never make no peace with.
What up, Pops? It's been more than 20 years now, but still feels like yesterday. I made you shed some tears now, or what I wouldn't give if we can sit and have some beers now. I wonder what advice you give now that baby boy is here now, thinking whether he's a pizza man or communication majors. First thing I finna teach him is communications major. Pray he and I have a relationship that you and I was never able. I know you sacrificed available to keep something on the table, and I remain forever grateful, but a part of me it yearns to hear you say you proud of me, or would you use those words? All I wanted was your attention, though my actions was absurd. You'd ask me to speak up, but fact is I was never heard. Now grown ass boys still harboring daddy issues. At times I resent you, other times I really miss you. From the power of the tongue, so now I crystal. Think not only will I, it is the unreasonable man. We're doing everything we can. You see the plans to make this world conform to me. Great father, great brother, great husband, great son. Just like he is all I ever aimed to be. Yeah. The same nigga told me I would never. That's the thesis I can't never make no peace with. Yeah. My pops told me I wouldn't. That's the thesis I can't never make no peace with. Say we called him Van Seen the Great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that is always heard and never ever will be seen, Skeens. He's not here, but he's with us in spirit. But we have a great show planned. I have, I'm gonna give a quick intro. He's coming back again for second episode in a row. The Unreasonable Man, aka the Pizza Man's son, aka Scoot, and you just heard a track off of his forthcoming album, The Unreasonable Man. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, my brother.
My brother, appreciate you. Top of the evening, good people.
And it's been a while.
My God.
But we have back our unofficially official third co-host, King Kai Phoenix. Welcome back, King.
The last time I was on this show, I was 38 years old. I just turned 42.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, first and foremost, that's some powerful music, boy.
Yeah,
that is
indeed.
Some powerful music. And
Indeed.
I am anticipating that album. I really am.
That is greatly appreciated. I'm super excited, man. I am super excited about this project. It outside of my control completely. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I really am. And since the first time hearing that snippet, I was like, well, I hear frequency.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We flying high. We flying high frequency here.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I can't wait. It's just about getting it right and getting it in the right ears, man.
Yes, sir.
It's definitely for the right people. So.
Yeah, so I wanted to start off, y'all. Full transparency, Scoop. I asked him to play, a song from the album, and everybody knows my platform. He was like, "Jay, are you cool? You got some language." But I think that sets the tone because we get ready to have a conversation about a interview with Charleston White and Cam Newton, and we're gonna sit here and let these two brothers chop it up. I'm gonna sprinkle some thoughts in here and there, but some of the language is gonna be, it is what it is, but it's just a part of the whole conversation that we want to have. And I've been trying to get these two brothers on. Really, I want them to do some music together, but we'll put that to the side for now. But we were just talking about. It's just funny the connections that I have with the brothers in my life, because we do have this kind of kindred spirit, and we talk over social media and stuff sometimes. But Scoot, he's like, man, this is the first time me and Kai, even though we know each other, this is the first time we have an official conversation. But the brotherhood, it feels like you already been tapped in with these cats in a whole different way. So, without any further ado, if I could classify, so Cam Newton, ex NFL quarterback, has a podcast, and he has recently had on a polarizing figure, Charleston White.
If I
And
can interrupt,
go ahead, please do.
it's not a it's the thing that I took issue with is more of an idea, not necessarily that interview, because really technically it's every interview.
Sure,
It's
sure.
more on an idea of, because I go back and forth with my older brother about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about vetting the location in which you get your information,
Okay.
or guarding who you are in agreement with. Some certain differences in our lives, or belief systems aside, I think that we're all within on the same frequency.
Sure.
And much like with my older brother, sometimes I sit back and I watch some of my brotherhoods, and I find it surprising who they find in agreement with, whether that be
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peterson or Kevin Gates or 6ix9ine or Charleston White. You know what I'm saying? I think that's
Mm-hmm.
necessarily where I guess where I got I wouldn't say concerned. It's just interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I wanted to tap in and had a conversation, because it's funny as I'm listening to the interview again, because we also connected. I'm like, I would love to have Scoot and Kai on the pod to discuss this, and then literally Kai texts me or message me like a few minutes later. So I'm like, okay, this lets me know that this is supposed to happen. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So Charleston is brash, says wild stuff. Um, I don't know how else I could classify it, but I want to play a clip from the interview as kind of our launch point, and then we'll kind of chop it up, organically from there.
You standing, there's no denying that you're standing for and by your people.
Well, here's the thing. When you're addressing evil, you can't worry about the delivery. When you're looking at the conditions of our community, you can't worry about the evil when you got kids that kill kids and say we smoking on Tuka. See, they wasn't worried about the delivery when these kids in Chicago were talking about smoking on Tuka. Mm-hmm. They wasn't worried about the delivery. I ain't got no manners for no. I'm gonna put my thumb in the delivery. I like girls kissing girls where I'm from, and that's on the radio. Girls on girls, that's promoting lesbianism to my daughter as we driving to school. This song they playing with Drake. Y'all worried about the delivery? These niggas talking about killing each other. That nigga Thug said, nigga, I shot at your mama. You don't mention me no more. He really shot that nigga mama. And y'all worried about my delivery? These niggas are confessing to murders on songs. And y'all worried about my delivery? The conditions of black sucking them, talking about booty holes. Y'all worried about my delivery? Come on, don't be hypocrites, black people. Y'all can't listen to this music if y'all so caught up in my delivery. Don't do me like that. And the way y'all snap and pop to this music, the way y'all kill and drill to this music, don't trip about my delivery. Hey, yo, Easy, why you wear your pants like that? I wear my pants like that because that's easy access, baby. Easy, why you talk like that? I talk like that to get my point across. Because when I wasn't talking like that, wearing a bow tie, y'all wasn't paying me no attention, and I was going to the Supreme Court changing laws and legislations in this country. I was working with over 50 U.S. congressional members, from Ted Cruz to Mark Rubio, Senator John Cornyn. I was on the front page of the American Bar Association Journal. I had done a study with News 21, Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. Y'all wasn't paying attention then. So, nigga, I gave y'all what y'all want. Nigga that talk like them rappers. Now y'all listening. Now y'all paying attention, huh? I got y'all attention, checkmate. Now let me tell y'all what y'all need to hear. We as a race of people, since y'all so caught up into my delivery. 5% of children now are catching HIV from ages 13 to 21. What y'all worried about? 85% of the new chlamydia, all the new cases of teenagers. What y'all so caught up about? Nigga, only 35% of most kids in inner cities can read on or above their grade level. What y'all talking about? These kids can't read. Come on, my nigga. So if we go be real, let's be real. I'm not bashing the black woman in her BBLs. I'm not bashing.
Okay, so he goes on and on. This interview was 3 hours long, but Scoot, I'll let you respond off of hearing that. What are your thoughts?
My initial thoughts are many of us are not going to be able to receive the message and have not been able to receive his message up to this point based on his delivery, based on this wild, outlandish, crazy buffoonery that we see when he goes to deliver these messages. I mean, I had no idea that he was as intelligent as he presented himself in this interview. I need to be very clear that I do not agree. I'm not in complete agreement with everything that he says, and everything that he said in that interview. But the culture that I come from, I agree 100% with what it is that he's pointing out to us. Like, I come from the culture that is hip hop. Like, we all come from the culture that is hip hop, and ultimately the delivery is far less important than what it is that he's trying to say, the points that he's trying to get across. And I think that there was a lot of time spent in this interview with him trying to get us past the point of his delivery and to the message. But, he had Cam spent in a circle, man. He was running in circles, brash. And that interview, it took me to a space where I'm like, okay, I need to start doing some research and figuring out what it is that he's really got going. What it is, what is it that he really has for us?
King, thoughts?
Coming from the hip hop community, credibility matters. To be a messenger, everything matters. And if you are from a real environment, you can see through niggas. He's telling you everything about himself. Everything he's telling about himself. How many times, I don't know how familiar you are with Charleston White, but at least in 9 different interviews, he has told us that he is a character he invented to monetize by saying the most outlandish stuff possible because it gathers attention. He said this 9 different times. I'm a character. I'm getting rich. I am monetizing. So a man comes out and he wants to, I did this, I did that, I went to this school, I was changing laws and stuff. Sounds to me like you were being a very effective, progressive human being and on your way to being a great black leader. But he also showed you his Achilles heel. Y'all didn't pay attention to me. Y'all didn't give me no attention. So you know what I did? I invented this character, if it's an invention, which represents the absolute worst of us. And I decided to go backwards. Let me just go backwards. Let me just give you the most ignorant part. Let me say the most outlandish stuff. Let me disrespect some of our most sacred people. So that people that are looking at us who see him get to affirm everything that they believe about us. Not only that, instead of, if you really care about your people, if you're really trying to reach your people, instead of inciting them, and then when they get incited, calling the police our enemies to put us in jail, like the issue with Charleston White is that even if you were a true messenger, your behavior always disrupts whatever message you're trying to get through. And he's talking to Cam about being a hypocrite. He literally said Sukanya when he used to talk about sluts and stuff, and then when asked about her, because he had recently been hanging out with her, he doesn't have any negative words to say about her. If you want to talk about Chicago culture, which You already know my stance on that.
Mhm.
But he has said worse than they ever could. Not only that, he goes to Chicago to incite them. He ain't the messenger. And his message will always get slept on and stepped on by himself. He did it in that very interview. How many times did he get you a little message that you was like, ooh, that's, and then he'll turn around and say some outlandish stuff that completely goes against what he had just said. You understand what I'm saying? And I think it's dangerous. Like I talked to my brother because he puts up a lot of stuff. He does a lot of stuff with Jordan Peterson and what have you. I don't know if y'all know about Jordan Peterson.
I know about a little bit
I'm not
about Jordan.
familiar.
Okay.
Not familiar.
Jordan Peterson is a Canadian professor and thinker. His message is really sneaky because he gives you the message through manhood.
Mhm.
So it really catches our eye. But he's not really fond of the condition of African Americans. And it's real sneaky if you don't pay attention. You know, he's conservative and what have you. So I'm like, Kev, you got to guard your mind and vet all the information. What's important is that there are so many messengers that are giving you the same message. The day after this interview, Charleston White gets into it with my son. Do you guys know who my son is?
Yeah.
We know mice.
I wish y'all would have saw that. It was terrible. It was terrible. And it totally whatever goodness he might have given you in the cam interview, he totally got rid of that one. In the very next day, I told my brother, I said, Kev, you got to guard, you know, some where you're receiving your information at, bro. And he was like, nah, man, I just get little bits of truth that I can get, and I add it to my. I'm like, Kev, you can't get it from everybody. Now, my brother has just become a Christian, and he's on his Christian journey. And I'm like, Kev, you got to vet your information. He was like, look, man, I just get positive information and I adopt it. I said, well, what if Anton LaVey gave you positive information? What if he said some great stuff? He said, well, then I will receive it. Who's Anton LaVey? I said, he's the leader of the Church of Satan. And then he said, whoa, I can't. I said, why is it whoa now? Why do you want to vet the information now when it doesn't agree with your belief system? You won't vet it, but from anybody else, you won't vet it. It's important. That's just my theory.
Okay. So let's do this because miraculously, the man that is always heard and never ever will be
Mhm.
seen, aka Dr. Claw, aka the Wizard of Oz, aka Osama Ware, has made an appearance.
What up, people?
What's up?
My guy.
So, Skeens, I played the clip, the just a little excerpt of when Charleston was talking about, delivery
Yes.
and how how do we reconcile delivery versus what's in the culture, what's in the music. So, just overall, what's your thoughts on that and Charleston in general?
Oh man, let's see. Um, I kind of go with a message that I remember. What's my man? The Kick Push. Forgetting his name.
Lupe.
Lupe.
He said a lot of his music. He said he would slide he would put the medicine within the candy or within the music. So he would have beats that people would like, but he would have a lot of messaging within that. I think with Charleston, it's almost weirdly, it's kind of the spook that's set by the door to a certain extent. He uses a certain mentality and what we in thing and plays stupid. Which he rightfully says, I play stupid. I garner the information and I use it to my will. And which in terms he's supposed to bring, he said he brings that information back because even in the interview he talks about, I'm not really looking at black people, I'm looking for my people.
My kind of people.
My kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And right or wrong, honestly, when I listen to for outside of the delivery, I'm not a person that's offended by delivery. I think that's not. I am a Dame Dash fan. I don't care less about the delivery. What is the information? You, I think a lot of the delivery, when we care more about the delivery and then the message, this counterpart of this participation trophy society. We want to spare everyone's feelings. We want everyone to feel good. At the end of the day, it's like Noah's Ark. Not everyone gonna make it. Not everyone's meant to make it. We will always remain fraction as long as we. This is the society we talk about freedom. We care about freedom and how people feel and accepting, but it's a lie. It's an illusion. We don't want acceptance. We don't want to accept people. We don't want to accept what you have to say or your point of view, as long if it does not agree with me. It does if it doesn't align with mine. Now, with Charleston, when he's talking about family, the desire to have the man in the house, the family structure, being in the lives of the boys, because he's talking about the kids. He said, the adults. I'm sorry, it's not about you. And unfortunately, a lot of us as an adults, we have our mindset. This is just like they talk about when with a kid, it's easy to teach a newborn baby how to swim than an adult because we're set in our ways. He's talking about going to the bottom, helping the kids, and re-ushering in a new generation of bringing back value. Now, is his message, is the delivery horrible? Yes, he says some of the most outlandish things, but at the same time, some of the people that we follow, whether in the light or in the dark, they say and do a lot of things that's worse than his. You see the newspapers and you see Revolt TV and all other stuff, and I'm not going to call names, but we are learning that our community is full of a lot of throw the rock, hide your hand type of mentality. But because if we like you, we're going to cape for you. If we hate you, we're going to look for any and every reason to dismantle anything that you say. It's the same thing when, we had the issue when we had Ice Cube, when I had the contract Black America. What is it for us? Let's build us. Forget the delivery. Forget who we have to go to, what ranks or whoever we got to go. It needs to be us and building us. At the end of the day, I care about my people more than I care about what people think about me or the way they say it. At the end of the day, how do I benefit from it? And how can I teach it? Each one teach one. Now, we all deliver that message, however we deliver it, but we got to do better as a society, as a culture. We have to.
King, when Mario Skeens first started talking, you chuckled a little bit. So tell me what were you thinking?
A couple things. Starting with, you were talking about how he was talking about the family and how he's for the kids, and then later on in the interview, he goes on to talk about beating his woman. That helps the Black family,
I think some of
especially
the
a kid watching that.
I
Right?
got you. No, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Completely contradicts his
Yeah.
message. Or is that him? Is that him, or is he being outlandish? How does that help? What kind of message is that? When you see a spook by the door, I see Bill O'Neill. Do you know who Bill O'Neill is?
I've heard of it in
Bill
life.
O'Neill was Fred Hampton's right man that was working for the
Yes,
CIA that set him up to be killed.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
He was the spook that sat by the door and monetized.
Yes.
The same way that Charleston White is monetizing on the image of Black ignorance. And he
Mm-hmm.
wants you to think, I'm doing this, but it's like a social experiment. But
Mm-hmm.
social experiment is scientific, not somebody that's monetizing on the ignorance and degradation of the people that he's claiming to uplift.
Mm-hmm.
It's a contradiction. He's not the spook that sat by the door. He's an old Texas 6'9" and sort of Donald Trumpish. When I see people that support Charleston White and I listen to Trump supporters, they're saying the same thing. You're looking at the dude, you're looking at his behavior, and they're supporting him because he says some truth.
Mm-hmm.
But what about all this outlandish stuff and the rape cases and the racism and this and this and this? Well, I don't condone everything that he says, but he's saying some truth. It's the same thing. All those
Like I,
guys are the same thing. And there are better guys that are saying the message better. But the difference between them is their intention.
Mm-hmm.
Their intention. It ain't about his delivery. And the funny part about it is my homeboy talked to me about the same stuff, and he was like, the funny part is when I look at Charleston White, I kind of think of you. And at first I get upset about that, but I get it. What he's trying to say is, you know some information, but you speak our language.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
My
I ain't telling nobody to think anything. My thing is, sometimes if you've been around enough people, you can see through people.
Mm-hmm.
I see an opportunist. I see somebody completely see through, monetizing and having fun, because really what he wants more than that message is clout and attention. And he gets it, or else he wouldn't do that. He goes after people's kids, after dead relatives. He says stuff about greats and all of that stuff. He does the most outlandish stuff to get attention and to get a response. And he monetizes off that response, and he builds his name off of that. That way he can create new things off of your anger and off of your feelings. That ain't getting a message too that repels you, but that still gathers attention. That dog don't hunt.
Gotcha. My question would be, what leaders, who in terms of today, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people that we consider leaders are really, truly, let's be honest, pure of heart? None of them. Let's be honest.
Not a one.
None of them. So we have to hold the same way we're going to hold him accountable. We're going to hold every one of these leaders accountable. None of them are pure of heart. They all do for self.
All of them, right?
Everyone. Name me
all of them, right?
Pretty much all of them. We only see that we only see now. There are now. I would say as Zoe Williams, I would say some, but not
all of them, right?
The mass majority of the leaders that we see out here, there's some form of promotion. But the thing is, the bad part of that is the promotion is necessary in order for people to want to follow them. That's the bad part. We don't look for, in the society, we are a following society. That's why entertainers, athletes have so much pull and over not just the kids, over us as a community, because we like to follow. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us are not happy. That's the reason why the suicide rate is so high, the depression rate is so high. We are as medicated of a people of all time, but we are as depressed as ever. Why is that?
And let me let Scoop. Hold on, King. Let me let Scoop get his off real quick. Then I'm gonna go to you, King.
Yeah, jumping on a couple of things. So one, I feel like the war has to be fought on many fronts, right? We can't expect for everybody to receive a message the way that you want them to receive it, right? Like, Kai, this isn't for you, right? Charleston White and the message that Charleston White has is not for you, right? The people that it is for, the people that are like him, his kind, this is who the message is for. He spent a big part of that interview, like probably the last 2 hours, trying to spin the conversation back around to the messages, the children, the people that he was trying to touch. But the individual Cam on the other end receiving the message could not get past the fact that he was being disrespectful to someone that he idolized, to someone that he saw as a legend in Dion. I love Dion. I'm a huge fan of Dion. I don't agree with, him delivering and saying F Dion. Like, I don't agree with that. But Dion, being one of those people who is a leader right now to our people, he has his flaws as well. And the point that he was trying to get to was like, let's not be stuck on that. Let's not be stuck on that. Dion, his flaws, whatever it is, let's not be stuck on that. let's get to those kids that we all are forgetting, those kids that we all are ignoring in this conversation. He talked about, you mentioned the piece about beating on his woman or beating on his wife. We were so or not you, but we were so stuck on hearing him say, yeah, he would beat his woman, that nobody heard him say he's never put his hand on his woman. He literally said that he's never put his hand on his woman. Those were the words that came out of his mouth, and he pointed that out on multiple occasions during that interview.
But Scoot, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You good? Go.
So basically, what you said was he went on a whole tirade about beating on his woman and that you should beat, and he kept beat, and then he follows that, but I've never beat. What are we doing?
Because Cam asked him a question that he was trying to point out the fact that it was irrelevant to the conversation. You're asking me about beating women, and I'm talking about kids. Why are you asking me about should I put my hands on a woman or beat a woman when I'm trying to get to the point that these kids are underprivileged and need us to focus on them, because they are the future. They are, like, why are you asking me these questions every time? I mean, like, it would get to a point where the conversation would be at a good spot to be some real kind of deep stuff, and then Cam would come with these random, all right, I got these cool questions. What do you think about, so and so? And he's like,
do you feel like Cam was asking him outlandish questions to get an outlandish response?
Absolutely.
Why would Cam do that?
Why would he do that? Because he knows that he can get an outlandish answer out of him.
What?
He knows that's what he's going to get.
Precedent set by Charleston White. You can get him to say anything and boost up your channel.
Sure, but you come into this interview with a card full of questions, because you know that when I go into this interview, I'm going to ask these wild questions because I want to see what kind of wild stuff he's going to give me. Why did we have to stay on script when it was clear that he wasn't on that, and then he was trying to talk about the the real problems in our community? Why are we still on script? Why are we still talking about Sukiana and what's the girl's name, Brittany Renner? Like what? How does Brittany Renner help us in this conversation? We got to move off of that script, and we got to get to, wait a minute. Because in the first part of the interview, Cam, all he was doing was listening. You could tell that he was like, wow, like, I never knew these things about you. This is not what I anticipated or expected out of this interview.
I think, and so, real quick, Scoot, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. I think, again, we're talking about messaging. And as wild as the messaging and delivery is, in the interview, he showed that we really, really, honestly and truly care more about what we hear than what we see people doing. That's how he's trying to draw that line. They care more about what they see me saying than what I was actually doing. King is saying no. But number two, the reason why Cam asks those questions is we're all victims of the same, or we're all drinking the same poison that Cam he knows that these type of things are going to get the clicks. Yes, if absolutely. I ask him these type of, this is going to make this interview go up. And I think that's doing like 3 million views or something like that right now.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, King.
I mean, and I think we all know that Cam Newton is not like the smartest fruit in the refrigerator. That guy's clearly got mold all over him. Yeah. Does he ask the same questions to Barack Obama that he asked to Charleston White if he had him for an interview?
No,
absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Why would he not?
Because what do you mean? He wouldn't ask Obama about beating on a woman. Come
Charleston
on, man.
has set King is
set
a precedent to ask that.
Here's the Kool-Aid that everybody's drinking. Charleston White, and I keep asking y'all to discern. Charleston White is using, will you guys get hung up on the delivery in order to excuse behavior? If you just look at me as smart and I have a message, then you can excuse all the outlandish stuff I'm going to do tomorrow. because I'm gonna do some crazy stuff. You know why? Because I get attention, and attention brings money. Your message means nothing because you counteract that message. What is the use in 2023 in country dumb as an intelligent person to hide your intelligence is an insult to yourself. You hide your intelligence because ignorance makes money. And all he does as a very smart person is get you on a certain narrative to excuse his behavior. I'm allowed to be wild because I care about y'all and I'm trying to give you a message. So just focus on the message and not my behavior. And people fall for it just that easy instead of seeing through somebody and pulling a card. If you want to be a leader, unfortunately, being a leader means example. Nobody is perfect. And of course, some things that you do in the dark, especially if you're a powerful and influential person, is going to come to light. But you want to get in people's faces and deliver a message. Part of delivering a message, people going to look at you. And this conversation can go deeper. I see that as we're talking about leaders and the Black community and how we get caught up in stuff, we keep limiting this to celebrities and athletes and stuff. There's other people we don't want to talk about that are way more influential in the Black community if we want to talk about that. But we can stay on Charleston, and I'm just like, you got to see through these clowns.
Well, touching on the leader piece, right? Again, he made it very clear that like the people for which he was trying to lead or intends to lead are his kind. He doesn't intend to lead everyone, all of us. He doesn't want to be Martin Luther King. He doesn't want to be Malcolm X. He doesn't want to be Obama. I'm only speaking. I can only speak for what he was speaking on. But his kind is the poor Black kid in the ghetto who's listening to Lil Durk, the baby, all of these kids, these kids that don't have nothing. These are his kind. These are the people who he is trying to affect. And he is doing so by being in that space with those people. This stuff that you're seeing on social media, it is, I mean, he didn't doubt it. I mean, he didn't say it wasn't an act. He made it very clear it was an act.
Dude, these kids, they don't listen first. Trust me, I promise you, this is kind of what I do. They don't listen first. They watch. First, you got to earn respect. You got to earn my ear. They watch. They don't listen. So they're going to watch you first. And if I like what I see, then I'll listen to you. If you're wearing your wealth, you can earn my respect. If you flash your wealth, you can earn my respect. But I'm going to watch you first. Kids are watched first. They respect you on sight, and then they'll listen to you after you've earned their respect. So, all right, all of us got sons, right?
Indeed.
Which one of y'all is sitting y'all sons? Which one of y'all is sitting y'all sons down and watching a Charleston White interview? That's the example you want for your sons. He can't.
None of us, because it wasn't for our sons.
Yeah, but look, everybody that he is currently disrespected could have talked to my sons. They from the ghetto. Everybody was poor. Even leaders that he disrespected were poor. They came from nothing. They were poor Black people. We all necessarily come from the same condition. Most recently, some of us are in better conditions, but institutionally, we're not. Well, you can't read. You can't. You're right. My bad. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'll finish. I'll go ahead.
Yeah, just let him chime in after you finish that thought.
No. I don't mean to.
Go ahead. Go. Yeah. Hey, I ain't heard you a minute. You, man.
I'm not trying to.
Other than hearing you on Cheap Soup, do you
I
let it
promise
go?
you,
Let it go.
I'm not on no holier than thou stuff.
No, it's good.
I got a
That,
passion for kids, right?
I think
Mm-hmm.
we
And I
all do.
was in there. I was in there with Hoovers. I was in there with GDs. I was in there with bounty hunters. I was in your Sureños and Norteños. I was in there. You couldn't bring somebody like Charleston in there to talk. I don't want them seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know exactly how they would act after he left.
Okay.
Everybody that he's disrespected, people like, I'd bring Nip in there. Elevate, King. Let me approach you as a 60s with a book reading list. You know what I'm saying? It's I feel like Charleston White has accumulated knowledge, valuable knowledge, and experience. But I think he threw that out the way. And I think every time he gets checked on his behavior, he uses that as his weapon. That's not what he gives you first. He gives you behavior, terrible behavior, and outlandish stuff first. And if you question him, he'll hit you with, nah, but I happen to be smart too, nigga. And now you can't question him no more because he's smart. But what kind of nigga is that? That is smart, intelligent, and informed, but would rather give you ratchet stuff and only gives you intelligence once he's challenged. What kind of person is that? And he's older than all of us. What kind of old dude like that, pushing 50, or if he's not already 50, is acting like that? You my elder. But that's me.
Skeen.
I'm with you. And you know what? I think that interview is a prime example of us. And what I mean is, when we talking about the questions Cam asked, as Scoop was saying, majority of the interview was him talking about the legislations, him being a part of the different organizations. He's worked with the anti sex trafficking and different things like that, but that wasn't popular. That is not what people wanted to hear. That's why when you see the clicks, the sound bites, it's all the outlandish stuff because Cam knows the audience. People didn't want to hear that from Charleston. They want that ratchetness because Cam knows that the clicks are gonna come with the ratchetness. Charleston knows that the clicks are gonna come with it, which is gonna lead to more money for him and other people. Anyone who invites him onto their shows. They ask those different questions because I've heard different interviews. He actually talks about some real stuff until the questions go left because the people understand that, hey, I want him to dance. You are to a certain extent, they want him to be the court jester that they know that everyone loves and hates.
And he
It's
will.
almost the Petey Green. Yeah, and it's the Petey Green effect to a certain extent. You want that live wire. They don't want him to talk about real things because to the normal person is boring. I think even he talks about his mentality and his approach changed because people don't want to hear boring. They don't want to hear that. We want to hear the Sukianas and stuff like that. You don't want to hear Rhapsody. That's what society is. You don't want to hear Black Thought. You want to hear Big 30. Nothing wrong with Big 30. I like all type of music, but in all type of genre of people. But to be too smart is to be disconnected to a certain extent to the masses. Now there's a pocket of people that like that enjoy, the higher learning and the higher vibration of thought. But what is being pushed to our society, to our culture? Everything that is low vibration. Kanye talks about the 808 beats. The low vibration is what we're being marketed to, and they use a lot of our people, our stars, our whoever, and put them in front of the most impressionable people, not just children. We have impressionable adults that that see these people that's on television or on IG and all these different things that's marketed, that has tons of marketing dollars behind them. When we're thinking these people are regular individual and the becoming quote unquote lit, it's a lot of marketing dollars behind all of those people, and they telling you they got it from the mud. The mud is full of millions, but to us, we think, oh, I got to be like that person. They doing it themselves. It's a lot of marketing. It's $billion corporations that put money behind those people to push the me and my cousin, we talk about post Hurricane Katrina. Some of the interviews, they found the most illiterate people to do interviews with. They didn't want the smart people, the people that can articulate and tell you about the conditions and why they was going through, why they did what they was doing to survive. They found the people that said, "Oh, this is gonna get me millions of views."
Scoop.
That is what's being pushed to us.
Scoop.
Go ahead, King.
The people want to hear NBA Youngboy. Is that what you're giving us on Unreasonable Man?
Not at all.
But Scoop, that's what the people want to hear.
Again, going back to me saying the war has to be fought on many fronts. There are people who want to hear NBA Youngboy.
He's
Right.
the highest streaming. He's a
And
in terms of
NBA
YouTube,
Young.
He's the highest revenue. in
So,
streaming.
Scoop, what you're telling me is you get to choose. Despite what people want to hear, you get to choose how you deliver the message and what message you want to deliver. You don't have to appeal to a low vibration if you're high vibration. Is that what you're telling me, Scoop?
What I'm telling you is that I don't have to leave those people behind.
True.
Those people
But
that don't want to.
But you
those
do not have
people
to
that
become them either.
the people that want to hear NBA Youngboy are never going to hear me.
True.
They're never going to hear me. They're not going to get the message. They're not going to understand. It's a
You are
big
absolutely
thing
right.
with meeting people where they are. It's important to meet people where they are.
Yes, sir.
Again, would we even know who Charleston White is if it weren't for his brash, outlandish behavior?
Can I
We
ask you a
wouldn't.
question?
Now, but again, I don't know that he's doing all the things that he's saying he's doing. He sounded very convincing that he could be, but I don't know that he is. I'm not. That's not what my argument is.
Do we need to?
Do we need to?
If he is out there making a difference, pushing progression, do we need to know who he is? Or should he be busy continuing the good work? He wants to be known. He wants the fame. He wants that. When he was just doing his thing, he was doing great work. And then because he wasn't being known and being acknowledged, he became the worst of us. For what? For money. He traded in his soul for riches, to quote a great rapper. He wanted the attention. When he was doing all of that great stuff, nobody knew him, but he was doing great stuff. You either want to be important or you want to be popular.
So speaking of
Fair.
which, then let's spin it forward, because let's have two conversations. King, what do we do in our culture to influence our people to not be so moved by celebrity and rappers and actors and whoever? And then number two, how do we, as us all sitting here as hip hop babies, how do we reconcile the walking, talking contradiction that our culture is in delivery versus what people are doing in real life and all that kind of stuff?
The first problem we have is that we think that we could save our people and that we're all supposed to be this high efficiency, high working, high intelligent people, and that's not reality. The reality that is revolution only works for the people that are involved in the revolution. Everybody can't go. And in every race of people, there is an ignorance, and then there's everybody else. And we all sort of coexist together. we also at times can feel like old men and not realize who we were when we were younger and what we were influenced by. Everybody has a time, and you need to give them a chance to grow out of whatever stages that they were in. I know I was for sure that little young black child that listened to nothing but ignorance and what have you. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But once you become elevated, if you are elevated, and very few do, if you get informed, if you get message, if you have the calling to go and help things, you never become that which you hate. It's confusing. And it's insulting to a young black kid in the ghetto that I, as an old man, have to become like you, because I think you'll only listen to me if you see me as you doing your things. If I do the most outlandish stuff, and that is what I feel your level is, instead of giving you something as an example to aspire to, you got to walk in your walk. When it's their time to get it, it'll be their time to get it. Young kids nowadays have to, now that they've seen Tupac Shakur and they've seen Nipsey Hussle, they get to choose between the two. Both of them were influential. Both of them were very informed in the struggle. One of them died going backwards. The other one died going forward. So you get to choose the message. As messengers and as leaders, it's not your job to go backwards. It's not to become ignorance because you destroy your message. And to embrace that person is to literally be walking forward. He's walking backwards saying something. You're like, oh, that sounds good. So let me follow him backwards to the back of the line. He's leading you in the wrong direction. And we have to guard our minds. I'm sorry.
Scoot, your response? You got.
My response, I mean, I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement to a degree. One of the biggest pieces that kind of messed with me about that, particular situation was the thought of Nip. Nip is, one of my greats.
Yeah.
I saw the progression. I saw what he came from to where he was when he was taken. And the issue that I have is I feel like we forget about where he came from. We forget about the people that he was speaking to. I mean, very similar to Charleston, in speaking to the ghetto, speaking to, the culture that is gang banging. These were the people that he was talking to when he was delivering these messages, and he spoke their language.
Yep.
It just so happens that he was vibrating so highly that his message was able to transcend beyond just that culture and just those people. But it doesn't take away what he was and who he was. He was loyal to the core, to his people. He never left his people. And when Charleston brought up, his name, I was very clearly able to determine that he wasn't actually saying F Nip.
He said that before plenty of times.
Again, you gotta, I don't, because of his message, there are many messages that I've never heard from him. I've never been a Charleston White follower, nor am I currently.
Okay.
I am a fan of the things that he talked about within that interview, that he had his focus and his aim and the things that he was trying to get us to go towards. So I don't want that to be confused. But I think that what he was saying, or what I was able to obtain from what he was saying in disrespecting Nip's name was that culture that is gangbanging that's still thriving right now today. F that. Like, we got to move past that culture. We got to get rid of that culture. That's what I was able to deduct from what it is that he was saying. Again, the delivery is terrible. I mean, we can't argue that. The delivery is horrible, but the message isn't wrong. It's not. I don't care how you want to spin it, how you want to, you know what I'm saying, go attack his character or whatever. The message isn't wrong. And that is still, even in this conversation, that's my biggest issue, is we're so stuck on the messenger versus the message. Like, in this conversation, the entire conversation at this point has been Charleston White. And that's similar to what happened in that conversation. We passed that. We passed that. We beyond that. Let's move
Okay.
beyond that.
So
And
hold
I'm
on,
with you,
real quick.
and I
Hold on, real quick,
completely
Ty.
agree.
Hold on.
Oh,
I
I'm
gotta
sorry,
let
Skeens.
Skeens get it. I gotta let Skeens get his piece
No,
off. But no,
cook. I'm listening.
but again, for you and I've had this conversation a little bit behind the scenes. How do we reconcile this in the culture, though?
Yeah, I think the what Charleston is, he is the mirror to our us and how we romanticize our culture, which for one is not our culture. We don't control it. We don't own it. We have nothing. The only thing we are participants. We are puppets. The culture, the culture treats us is like Geppetto with us. So Charleston is that mirror, and he's making us he's making the culture look yourself in the face and say, "Hey, maybe I do have it wrong." To love the culture is really to love Charleston, because he's representing everything that we in the culture, not us, but the culture, stands on. Quote unquote, Tony, we stand on business.
Standing on business.
We standing on business.
Not us radicals.
Yes, but I'm saying the culture.
Because we're radicals to the culture.
We're standing on business. The business never should have been in business in the first place. This business is basically a Ponzi scheme. That's what the business is when we standing on it. But he is that mirror that makes you look yourself in the face, make the culture look itself in the face, say, do I love it or do I hate it? Because to say you love it means you love him. To say you hate it means that you are walking contradiction, which we all are. Mm-hmm. But it makes you say, hey, just like in an AA meeting, I am an alcoholic. Well, I am a walking contradiction. Well, or in the culture, you know what? Really, I hate this culture, which I always say one of the biggest lies that we tell amongst our people, that we love our people, which we don't. We have little value for one another as a culture, most of it, because we won't pull it in another community. We're quick to diminish and demoralize one another, the way we treat each other, the way I'm willing to jump on another chick or talk bad about my brother, or we're gonna pull up on you. You won't go pull up on another neighborhood. We have all this smoke for us. We didn't have smoke for doing the Trayvon Martin for other people. We didn't have smoke for none. Even when the George Floyd, I said I didn't see not one gangbanger, not one flag being thrown during that situation. But you was ready to go knock down your brothers or your sister in your own community. We gotta. That's the mirror. We gotta look ourselves in the face and say, who am I? How real am I? We talk about keeping it real when we fake is all. We fake is some of that jewelry Brian Pumper used to wear. That's what it is. Let's keep it. Let's be honest.
Why you gotta go and pump?
No. Hey, let's be.
You gotta go and pump like that.
If we gonna be honest, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You gotta go and pump like that, dog. That man's a legend.
Hey, he is who he is. But when it's time to be honest, it's time to be honest. Now, in our community, we're quick to say,
I disagree with you, Skeens.
Hey, we're in our community. We're always, when it's time to have a real discussion, we don't want to have those discussions. Not just, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about as a collective.
I
Because whenever
disagree with you,
someone brings
Skeens.
something up, they will say what the first thing people say. I know, but the people will say we shouldn't have those conversations in front of what other people. What are the other people on the every media that we use? So we don't want to have those conversations we don't want to have the conversation in private in closed door. How many times have you? How many of us have? We'll throw a house party and just it ain't to kick it, it's to grow. We don't see those. It's rare now. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. You may have one or two house parties. Say, hey, people come over. We gonna have. Hey, we gonna help my brother move. But when we moving, we gonna talk about LLCs. We gonna talk about how to get your credit up. We gonna talk about how to teach kids become an HVAC and so on and so forth. That's not cool in our community. Now, I'm not saying there's not pockets. I'm talking about the majority. But the majority is part of our is a massive amount of our community. We got to make being together cool. We got to make brotherhood cool. We got to make being fathers, black fathers, cool, popular. Not always we see on all these the black fathers this and that, but at the same time rated number one in every stats. But no one wants to talk about that because that's not cool. That's not popular. We talk about Jody.
Okay. Skeens,
I
I'm gonna
I
let you give your
completely
rebuttal,
disagree
King.
with you on a lot of fronts, and respectfully,
Speak
only
on it.
because maybe it's an algorithm thing, but since 2011, I've seen nothing but the progression of conversation on many different fronts.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, when the Trayvon Martin and stuff like that was happening, there was not violence towards white people. There was activism. Activism kicked up. Books kicked up. Conversations kicked up. Movements were started on many, many different fronts. What we are talking about is a reflection of youth culture. We can't understand youth culture because youth culture is always changing and we're always getting older. But youth culture does not speak for the entirety of black culture. From adult black cultures, from adult black men and specifically, adult black women intellectuals specifically, I see that in armies. Activists within communities and gang infested communities, even in Chicago, the activist movements that are going on there that people want to reflect on, people that are against our progression always want to use an example of. There is plenty of that. And as far as to go back to Scoot, when we were talking about, as a former member myself, I agree as far as the gang culture. But in reality, gang culture is never going anywhere, ever. So what can you do to change it, right? And we've had recently, who we were just talking about, a person that is changing the image. Not only that, but bringing unity between gang cultures. But you know who else was a 60s Crip? Charleston White.
Yep.
So why would you have Nipsey Hussle, the greatest example after Nipsey, Cripping has to change. Because if you look at what my example of a Crip was, that was Monster Cody. When you look at this generation's of Crippin', he is a book reading, entrepreneur, high frequency, everything changes with Nip. You are a former member of the same, not only that, but you used to live in his neighborhood. Why would you disrespect a great example and somebody whose example and message could push forward? He changed gangs into tribes. At his funeral, all gangs that would kill each other united as a show of solidarity. His message contradicts. He can never score a point when his example is, I don't know. And if you want to get off of Charleston, we can get off Charleston, but we can go even deeper than that. But just using him as a springboard, my whole thing is everything that you guys are saying is absolutely right. But what I'm saying is there are plenty of different messengers. We've got to weed out. Even Nipsey Hussle, speaking on 6ix9ine, was like, you got to let Goofy be goofies and not give them no attention. They can only harm us. And so I say the same thing about Kanye West, about Kevin Gates, about 6ix9ine, about Charleston White. You let goofies be goofies, and you don't pay them no mind because they corrupt. Even in the Bible, Proverbs 26, do not speak the language of a fool, because you're going to become him. You'll become like him. You got to let them be them. And he's not the messenger. He's monetizing, and he's fooling us by saying stuff that agrees with our sentiment. Not to say that he's not wrong on a lot of stuff. What I'm saying is that's not the message, and that's not the messenger. We can't show him to our kids. If we can't show him to our kids, how can we let him talk to us about our kids? That's all I'm saying.
Can we honestly sit here and say that the culture that is gang culture, is there any information that we can stand on to say that the culture has changed and shifted since Nipsey's passing?
Yes.
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 This is the type of information that I would love to have access to, because from my perspective, which I don't have insight, I'm not so, but from my perspective, it doesn't appear to have changed. It doesn't appear to have changed drastically. I mean, we can baby step this thing forever, but the truth is we need drastic, dramatic change. The inner city of Chicago needs drastic, dramatic change. My issue is we still you're preaching the messenger and the message, and preaching it to say that it's almost as if to say you feel like this man should be speaking to all of us, or he should not be speaking at all. And I don't think that's fair.
I'm not saying
because
I feel what you're saying.
But so that, I mean, for me, that's the way I receive it. That's what it feels like. It feels like you saying he shouldn't be speaking at all because he's not speaking to all of us. And I don't know that that's fair. There are people who are being left behind, who need a messenger who sounds like them, who receive messages best from people who look and sound like them. That is a fact. We keep talking about Nipsey. That is a fact. He changed many lives because he looked and sounded like those people. But he wasn't for us. You were a part of the culture. So I mean, that's how you were able to receive this man. But others eventually received this message. Just going back to what I was saying, others were able to receive his message because the way it was delivered and how it transcended. I personally think that this specific interview that occurred was a seed. I only say that because it's the biggest. I mean, it's the biggest platform that I've seen this individual. My hopes are, and this is why I said fan. I guess I said fan air quotes, was because my hopes are that this interview planted seeds in the minds of future interviewers who may be more intellectual and may be more prepared to have the deeper conversation that needs to occur, and we can move past the deliverer of those messages, and we can really start having those conversations. It's hard for me because, like I said, the delivery is ugly. But I mean, I grew up in a household with an individual who, my mother was a minister and my father he wasn't Charleston, but he walked a very fine line, very close to Charleston.
I want you to know you're using Charleston White language. I'm not caught up on the delivery. I'm from Texas. He sound like my uncles.
I was about to say,
It ain't the
Charleston,
delivery.
Charleston sound like majority of the people that we know.
Right.
Yeah, he sound like,
That's a fact.
hell, to be completely honest with you, I mean, sound like me sometimes too. Not the crazy stuff, but just the energy.
Yeah.
Right? So it ain't the delivery, bro, my bro. It ain't the delivery.
Man, it feels like that's where he's so hung up, though. It feels like that's where everybody who's in a space of, you know, where they're offended, they're caught up in that. Like, this culture needs us. These people need us. They need us to be attacking this situation from many different angles. Like, I mean,
it's not
Kai,
the delivery,
like
bro. Look, we on the same frequency, right? Anybody can say anything to you, right? And you know what you do when they say all that good stuff? You watch them. Because you know what the truth is? Your behavior. When I tell you, if you do something to me and you say sorry and I say, hey man, stop saying sorry to me, what am I really saying?
Change your behavior.
Change your behavior. Don't say sorry to me. I don't want to hear your words. I'm going to watch your behavior, because your behavior is the truth. You can say sorry all day, but that other hand is coming and I know it. So don't say sorry. Do something different. It's the behavior, because that's what, if you come from our environment, if I don't know you and you're not from my neighborhood, before I approach you, I'm going to watch you. I want to see how you move. I want to see your mannerisms. When you go into prison, before I say something to you, I'm going to peep you. I'm going to scope you before I decide on my approach. That in every realm of where you're talking about he's trying to reach, we watch behavior first and we watch behavior after. If I let you get your message off, then I'm going to watch you. Because credibility matters in every aspect of life, especially if you got a message. If you just one of the homies, you might say something that's like low key, yo, that was kind of deep, and you weren't even trying to be. But if you trying to be, I'm going to watch you. Because you can't do all that craziness and then try to appeal to my logic. You don't live in logic. You want to appeal to my intelligence? You don't live in intelligence. You want to appeal to my morals? You not moral. Well, I'm going to take some advice from you from. It's not his delivery. It's the behavior. Dave Chappelle says some crazy stuff. But watch him. Watch him off the court. Devout Muslim. Takes care of his family. Is involved in politics. Involved in activism. I know you got something.
I'm done. You just walked right into what I believe. You just walked right into what the situation is with Charleston. I mean, according to what was said in this particular interview, he is these things. This is how he's behaving.
He was.
No, currently.
He told you out his own mouth. I used to, and then I became. That's what he told you himself on over 10 different times. I was.
Did you listen to the entire interview? Did you listen to the entire interview?
What part did I miss?
Because he spoke on the fact that he is now currently doing these things. This is current. This isn't a thing of the past. The loud, ignorant, boisterous piece of him is a new aspect of him, but
Scoop,
he is still currently doing these things.
Real quick? Can I appeal to your intellect real quick?
Speak.
You are a activist organization. Or let's say you're an organization that wants to bring people in to speak to youth inside detention centers. Maybe you're an organization that's for youth development or maybe spiritual camps, right? And I need guest speakers. And somebody brings up your name. So what do I do as a respectable, responsible organization? I check your background. I'm going to see what you're about.
Go through a vetting process.
I'm going to go through a vetting process. It don't take but 2 Charleston White videos to know that I don't necessarily want this guy a part of my or where is he doing that at? Where? Who is allowing him, based on what he's famous for at this point, to speak to where? He says it, but I don't want to see it. At this point, who's allowing that? That is a respectable, responsible organization. That ain't going to be questioned by parents or the community. Why did you let the very same thing he did before he got famous and saying, why did you let those rappers go to that school? He's now that person. He became it. So I would like to see where he's doing that. I hear him talking, but I hear him talk about a lot of stuff, and then I watch him. And I'm a common sense person. What organization is letting Charleston White do all of that work? Where and who?
I don't know that there are any, and that's exactly where I am. That's the space that I'm in. I don't know that there are any. I know that he talked a very, very good game.
He talks a really good game.
And so my fanhood is to say, okay, now it's time for me to start digging and doing some research and start to see, if he's doing what he's saying he's doing. I would like to see that. I would love it if he could come on a platform like this. I would love for the two of you to be able to have a conversation. I think that the conversations that need to be had with him, people need to really start diving in and digging in and trying to figure out, okay, what is it that you are doing? And if you are doing these things, how can we help you? How can we help you do these things? And how can we trend you in that direction or help build what it is that you're trying to do or build on what it is that you're trying to do, and how and get you off of the nonsense. What can we do?
I want you to know that I respect that, first of all, and I want you to know I respect you. And that's why when I saw your post, I was like, oh, I'm concerned. And I think that you, at this point, just walked into my point. My point is this. If given the opportunity to speak with Charleston White, I wouldn't. I would say, excuse me, can I speak to Killer Mike? That's who I want to speak to. Walk it like it, talk it, full of information, active, and I see what he's doing. I can hear it. I see his effect on everybody that he's with. I see how he's uniting communities. I see how he is going to functions and giving out information. I know his intention. For people who want their Charleston Whites, they can have them. For people who want their Kanye West, they can have them. I want Killer Mike. That's all I'm saying.
Man, you would avoid that conversation? You wouldn't have that conversation?
A wise man's once said, don't argue with fools, because people at a distance can't tell who is who.
Now, one question I would like to ask in terms. Now, I am a big Killer Mike fan, but does Killer Mike impact? Is some of his impact coming from the fact of his fame, the willingness to follow him?
Good, yeah.
Do you think that comes from from his fame, the willingness for people to follow him outside of the work that he does? The willingness to follow him. Do you think that comes from his fame?
Absolutely.
Okay. So,
no, I disagree.
Well,
I disagree.
Stop that. Stop. If he was just a straight activist, they wouldn't be.
Why is Killer Mike?
Stop.
Why is Killer Mike famous? Why is he famous?
From rapping. From being a celebrity.
Not only that, because when his rap stuff wasn't working, he's known in the intellectual circles.
Sure,
but that isn't why he's famous.
A rapper and being running the jewels and being associated with the dungeon.
What does he say? What does he say in his raps? What does he say in his raps? The same information he says when he speaks is in his music.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you make your point, though. Go ahead, Skeens. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. What I'm saying is, hey, I go old school Killer Mike. Mm-hmm. Hey, salute to the grind, the mixtapes when one monkey ain't gonna stop no show. When he wasn't speaking like that back at one point. So Killer
I was
Mike
just about to say that.
He became just Killer Mike. I have all the old
Yeah,
Killer Mike
Mike
albums.
was talking some dope boy street stuff.
One of his guys,
he was Killer Mike.
One of his guys was from Little Rock. Then one of his guys that he signed was from Little Rock, a person that I know. So I know Killer. I go way back with the Killer Mike, but I'm not talking about the
Stu,
I'm saying
I'd love for you to listen to some of my old music.
What I'm saying is
I wasn't this person.
But that's my point, though. Like, you have evolved and grown into this space, into this person.
Right. And so did Killer Mike, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
What has Charleston White, older than all of us, evolved into?
Yes. Well, my thing, I'm not even talking about Charleston. I removed Charleston. If you listen to my conversation, I'm talking about us and our people and our fault, the way our willingness to fault. I stopped talking about Charleston a long time ago. I use him as a reference point here and there, but I'm looking at the bigger picture in terms of us as people, our romantic, how much we're in love with celebrities. Charleston became a celebrity because he knows that there's a snake charming effect to our people when it comes to celebrity. That's my thing. Get rid of celebrity. We need to look at people for who they, and I do agree with you, Kai, when you're saying people being, we look at people for what you do and who you are. Now, you did say, yes, our algorithms are different. That's why you have the Social Dilemma documentary that talks about that. Because, hey, man, gang culture hasn't slowed down, man. Back in my spot, they still knocking people off. Doing homecoming, multiple shootings. You go to Memphis, from a death total is way worse than Chicago.
Memphis is terrible.
It ain't slowing down nowhere. So Nip, love him. Nip didn't slow it. Now it may have slowed down for a minute. Nothing's changed. They knocking more people off more than ever. Why you think Young Thug them have? They was talking about since him and I forgot the other guy he was beefing with. They're saying Atlanta death total went down, 30%? Almost close to 30, between 30 and 50% since they've been locked up. Nothing's slowing down. It's still worse than ever. So our thing is, how do we stop or minimize some of the destruction that we're having within our community? And the thing is, those death totals, not just Chicago, majority of the black cities, you go to Detroit and so on and so forth. A lot of that is because people are looking to the celebrity, talking about sliding. Does art does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? We got to find out, how do we fix things in our community? Self-destruction was in the 80s. Nothing's got better. We went worse by a million
Skeens?
A millionfold. Our city, my city, I can talk about it because my city is a prime example of how it gets worse. My city is at an all-time low. Some of my best friends are gangbangers. So I've seen it. I've not always been to church. I've been in the church, but most of my people are from the bottom. I see it all. How do our communities, how do we as our people become together to fix some of our brokenness? That's my biggest thing. How do we do it? I don't care who implemented. I don't have the ego to say that it got to be my way or the highway. How do we make it happen? I don't care who needs to make it, push the button. We need to do it. If not, we won't be around to see tomorrow.
King, respond. You had something.
As far as finding a solution, celebrities are part of that, because celebrities are the model. There is no getting rid of celebrity, and there's plenty of people that are utilizing. But guys, look, we're gonna have to get real. If we are going at celebrity and celebrity is the influence and celebrity is damaging and what have you, there's different elements. People are not just looking at celebrities and athletes and stuff like that and being damaging. It's coming at all angles. Now, if we want to keep it real, let's keep it way real. Within the last 3 years, Pastor Creflo Dollar and Pastor Benny Hinn have come out publicly and apologized for prosperity preaching and the legacy of that. They were never asked to step down. They were never asked to take a time away. Now you're talking to somebody who watched his mother for the better part of his life send tithes to Creflo Dollar and Benny Hinn's message for years and years and years. Mega church pastors are celebrities, and they reach the crux of the black community. My grandmothers and my mothers are giving their money, which they don't got, to these churches where the buck stops. There's no black grocery stores. There's no black churches. There's no black hospitals. There's no black grocery stores, no clinics, no nothing. You can't find one black neighborhood in America in which there is all of that. No hospitals, no black hospitals, no black schools, no black grocery stores, no none of that.
Right.
Because there's no real banks in the poor black communities. But you know what there's a lot of? And you know who's getting taken advantage of? And you know who we as a people and as a population follow more than celebrities? If we are going to be real, let's keep it all the way real. It ain't just celebrities. Locally, I know I watched it. It's been there my whole life. I watched it. Not only that, but I had to stop my own mother and my stepfather. They had to leave a church because I watched them get taken advantage of for 5 years. I was 16 years old when I was at odd with a pastor who brought me into his office and made a threat towards me. Unfortunately for him, I was 16 years old and you can't threaten me. I'll whoop you. So he called for my mother. And you know my mother, Jay. You already know how she rolls. And she pulled me into the parking lot and it was about to go down. And I knew it was about to go down. And she asked me one question. I was 16 years old and I said, Ma, I don't follow nobody blind. And I said, here comes the smack. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and it never came. You know why it never came? Because she knew. She knew. It took her 3 years to finally see them really taking advantage of her. But the people were worshiping him, and that's how it usually turns into. So before we get to rappers, before we get to politicians, before we get to celebrities, locally, in every hood, there are leaders. Are they adjusting? Are they going after the gangs within their own neighborhood? Are they making changes before any of these characters could? So if we're going to talk, we have to get all the way real. Now, there are some great ones. Just like there are great other influence and stuff like that. And we need everybody. But everybody can't go. So we got to keep it real. Yes, it's going to be baby steps. But part of making a society better is to show them elevation. Let me show you examples of what we could be. Not let me become what you are, which we already find as a negative. To try and deliver a message. They can't hear you. You look like me. You in the same position as me. You act just like me. What, you going to tell me how to get elevated? Because you got some stats? You act the same way I do. No. You could be relatable and still be elevated. And I can say, I ain't no better than you, but I see something different. And whenever you're ready, I can show you what I did or what I read or what I saw, or this guy's dope or this person is dope. It's just like being a Christian. You can't talk to an unbeliever. You have to live it. And then they see the light on you and they say, what is it that you have? I want some of that. It's in your behavior. When I watch you, Scoop, when I see you down because something has happened in your life, but you don't break, you go through it, and then you find your way up, I want to know how you found your way up. What is it in you? It was nothing that you said. It's what you did. It's how you lived. It ain't the delivery. It's the behavior. And if we want to change anything, we just got to offer options, different examples. That's it. Nip was still 60s, but he was different. His best friend was YG. Snoop couldn't have a blood best friend. Impossible. But Nip could. And then he made that popular. It was after Nip that you saw all the Blood and Crip collaborations musically, and music is the culture. Through his example, through his friendships, through his brotherhoods with other tribes, because he stopped saying gang, he changed the verbiage. We're now tribes, like in Africa. We war sometimes, but we're all brothers. We just different tribes. That's how you make change. I don't have to go down to your frequency. I can still operate at a frequency and still be my authentic self. And guess what? My authentic self still looks like you. I just got something a little different about me. And when you want to know, I'll give it to you. My bad. I didn't.
No, I definitely resonate with that.
We have
because
we have those conversations.
Yeah,
about churches.
I mean that's yeah. Me and Skeens had the conversation about churches. We have
because the money is made. They ain't giving it back.
Nah, like me and my pops even talked about, Creflo when he came back and, like you said, talked about being against the prosperity gospel. But then my pops even said the same thing. You ain't getting none of the bread back though. You know what I'm saying? You use the bread on the jet, whatever it was.
He just kept going. We didn't hold them. We didn't hold them accountable. They made them millions, and who'd they make them off of?
Yes, and they too are celebrities. When I'm saying celebrity, I'm not limited to one faction. Yeah. I'm talking about us as in our society as becoming, as you say, blindly following people. That's what I'm saying. When we have these different people, whether we talk about Jesse Jackson and that they only come around when it's a camera around, they're celebrities. So we're not just talking about the music. We're talking about it as a total. Hey, we look at Will and Jada, celebrities. Everybody is talking about relationship goals. Those are celebrities. Guess what you found out? The goals that you want really wasn't the goals that you want. But that was us as a society blindly following the celebrity because we was in love with what we thought was real. J. Cole has a song said not the song, but he was talking about you don't want to meet your idols. But then you have the song when your idols become your rivals. Once you realize
that's true.
You're
they still together though. My parents divorced.
Hey, they still together on paper.
As embarrassing as you think they are, they still got something. Whether you think their goals or not, I watched my parents go through it and they didn't make it. I watched my dad is twice divorced, my mom is divorced, my sister's twice divorced, my brother's twice, 3 times divorced. All I know is divorce. I know that whatever they went through was embarrassing, but they still together. So,
sometimes divorce is necessary because sometimes staying there. Why I say that sometimes staying there, you're limited and you're hindering that person of being with the person they were really meant to be with.
You're right.
Because you have your ego is so big that you won't let that person go. You don't really love that person. You just don't want to see that person prosper and be who they need to be.
You just want to possess them.
Meant to be with. Exactly. So yes, they're married and they're living. We can't say they're living to the vows.
But you see how you're able to take something from
a jungle Jimmy.
Go ahead. I mean, but you were able to take something good from what's a poor example. Like you took something from Will and Jada, and they're a poor example for somebody we should be looking at or looking towards to try to be like that.
Is that people prying for the past 30-something years? Is that been people trying to pry into their relationship? They've been trying to pry into that relationship for over 30 years.
I think
the problem is you knock down an image because they were never trying to give you a negative image. They do what most people do in a church. Let's bring it back around. Is what I know about black women is that black women run the household, at least from what I've seen. All my life, all I've seen is black women are the dominant forces in the household and they run the household. But when we went to church, my mom turned into somebody different to give the image that my father was man in the house. It was an image. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate what she was doing, but it wasn't real. And I watched other people do it. It wasn't real, but it was what they put out. So Jada and Will put out that image of what else you're supposed to do as a married couple that's in the limelight is to try to be a model image. They weren't trying to give you the negative. People found the negative.
But
they're humans.
Their relationship.
They monetized by being movie stars. They didn't monetize by the ignorance.
What was the red table? Monetization of their relationship. The book
absolutely
it was not. If you look at the red table, they were talking about different issues within that red table with other people. If they use themselves as an example right now, am I monetizing or am I trying to benefit on my background or are we just talking?
Well, gotcha. But
we just talking and I bring up my main source of information, my life experience.
Okay.
If we're talking about relationships and marriages, what do I draw from? My current. Am I correct? I mean, that's what you draw from. And if you want to say, well, they monetized on, they both wrote books. Mm-hmm. Kind of what you do. These people, if people want information about their lives and stuff, sort of what you do once you've accomplished enough. Okay. I'm not trying to excuse any of their behavior. But there is a difference between giving ignorance to monetize because I think you feed on ignorance and people falling from a pedestal that other people put them on.
Well,
people are going to fall from pedestals because they don't belong on pedestals. Correct. But I'm not going to give you ignorance because I think that's what you're going to listen to.
So are we saying, okay, so the red table, when I'm talking about the red table talk, I'm going back to the August Alsina situation. Are we not saying that there was no form of monetization with that conversation? Then we come to find out that they weren't together 7 years. So that means to tell me that conversation they had was a lie in the first place.
Okay, but hold on. Who told you?
She said in her book.
Who told you that?
The book. Okay.
Think about this. Think about this. The August Alsina, when that shit, excuse me, I apologize. When that stuff happened, when the August Alsina stuff happened, that had happened 3-4 years before it became public, right? Mm-hmm. So them as a family, they had already taken care of that information. Who is the one that put out the entanglement information?
Him. For financial gain.
It wasn't them. And the funny part about it is when you're watching Will and Jada talk, Jada makes a joke that I think both or only them knew. And Will makes a joke. He says, hey, control your hoes. Because they had already dealt with that one. But here comes this guy that's running his mouth. If he doesn't run his mouth, we have absolutely no clue. Once again,
so let me push this question forward. Let me push this question because we're gonna switch. We didn't went into a beautiful space of switching gears, but Skeens and I talked about it. Me and my dad have talked about it recently. Scoot, you a newlywed compared to me and King Kai anyway. So when in those vows, when you say for better or worse, are Will and Jada an example of toxicity, or are they an example of for better or for worse?
All right,
I'm gonna let you go first. I know King gonna talk for 68 minutes, so go ahead.
My bad.
I think both, because I think to some degree they're one and the same. Mm-hmm. I don't see much difference between the two. So honestly, I think it's both. That's where I'm at with it.
So it's both toxicity and it's for better or for worse. You saying?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, the behavior, the things that they are accused of, the things that have come to the light that have occurred within their relationship are very toxic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can't argue that. It's very toxic. now, you standing, you know what I'm saying, beside your significant other for better or for worse. It means like, I'm gonna deal with these toxic behaviors, and we gonna figure it out, and we gonna get around it, and we gonna keep moving. So I mean, I think it's both.
I'm with Scoop. I agree with Scoop. And anybody that wants to talk to me about that situation, I'll always remind them this. I don't know what people know about California. Last time I checked, Jada Pinkett is worth $50 million, and Will Smith is worth $320 million. In the state of California, as long as Jada has been with Will, if she decides to divorce him, do you know what she could do to him?
Half Eddie.
She'll destroy. He's done. That's a no-win situation.
Baby, please don't leave me.
Please, but you know what? Despite all the toxicity, you're dealing with a person that absolutely refuses to do that. Not only that, they stated years ago, we understood that we cannot be everything to each other. Happiness is your own personal situation.
Mm-hmm.
We're all men here. Are we all married here?
Yes, except for the heathen, but yes.
Okay. I'll be the bad guy because this is my talk. Since we're all men here and we're all in relationships, we know good and well, if we've been in a long enough relationship. Is everybody leaving? Everybody gone?
We still here. I'm looking.
Oh, I can't see y'all no more. My bad.
Oh no, we still here.
Okay. We know there's an element of our relationship that starts to dissipate a little bit over the years. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all happy with
Absolutely.
that? Y'all happy with that?
We happy with the parts of the relationship you said dissipating?
You know what I'm talking about.
No,
Some starts
I'm not
falling.
happy about it.
No. Some starts falling at the wayside.
Indeed.
And to some of us, that's a very important part of being in a relationship.
Especially as men.
As men. Because for some of us, hey man, it's our motivation. Why am I here?
Sure.
If I'm gonna work a job, hey listen, if I'm gonna work a job, I'm gonna want a paycheck. I'm gonna want to get paid for all of my effort. You a good father? You a great husband? Yeah, pay me. Where's my paycheck?
Yes, sir.
So what happens when that falls by the wayside?
Show me the money.
You start getting a little angry. Start getting a little resentful. Resentful is a cousin of hate.
Mm-hmm.
But the average one of us don't have it in us to talk to our spouse about, hey, if we cannot pick this up, you might have to let me have a side job. Because if I can't make ends meet with this main job, if my employer decides to start paying me less and less for the same work, I may need a side job to maintain my way of living.
Spoken like a true author and poet.
So I'm not mad at people who have been bold enough to look at each other and say, hey, this ain't changing. We got to do something about it. Because most of us ain't it's not only that we're not brave enough, we know they ain't our boss ain't going for it.
Nah, that's gonna fall on.
So we just gonna grow old and grow upset and settle. I'm not hating on them for coming to an arrangement and agreement. Yes, they had, just like everybody else, they got some toxic traits and stuff. But last time I checked, all I've seen in my life is divorce. And I'm watching people who could benefit monetarily and grow higher, I divorce and they refuse to.
This is my issue. I feel like you're able to find, like, I feel like you're picking and choosing. Like, I feel like you're able to find the good and the message in this situation, but you have refused to even consider the good and the message.
Scoop, I'm being very consistent. I'm not looking at a message. What am I looking at? I'm looking at behavior.
You want behavior.
Say whatever you want about Jada. Watch what she does. If she was that unhappy, she's going to be rich. Her life will tremendously benefit from divorce. Say whatever you want. She's done everything to not do that. I'm not listening to them. I'm watching them. I'm watching what Will does with Jada. I'm watching what Jada does with Will. That's the example. They ain't got to say nothing. I'm tired of them talking. I don't want to know their business. But now that I know all of their business, I watch them to see what they gonna do.
I want them to shut up.
So let's spin this forward then. Let's just say in a perfect world, because you just triggered in my mind. Charleston claimed that he had some offer where he could have got like 5 M's to do something. He didn't take the money. But he claims that he's still taking the money and busting it down with the community, giving it out to mamas and, this, that, and the third. If King Kai saw that, would that change anything about your perception of it?
I don't believe none of it.
That's what Scoot is really asking.
I see what you did. I see what you became and what you morphed into for thousands of dollars. You pass up $1 million and you just do anything naturally, but you have a limit at millions. Your behavior doesn't match that claim. Look what you did for thousands. So you mean to tell me there's a limit to what you'll do at millions?
You've painted your own narrative, though. Like, you've painted it so that it works for you. Like, there's no you haven't done anything to confirm, that he sold himself for thousands. One, but two, you haven't done anything to any research to say that, hey, these thousands that he says that he's giving back to the community, like, that he's not giving these thousands back to the community.
Scoot, he told you I became this character because I get money off of it. I'm not going. Yeah.
But then he also told us what he did or what he is doing with the money. You didn't hear that.
Scoot, the problem with Charleston White is what? He says a lot and then he does the opposite. What can you tell from Charleston White? You just said when he's talking Cam,
I just told
he's
you,
not Cam busy. We don't know because Charleston White, there's nothing to go on.
I don't want to get stuck here on Charleston, so I want to just reiterate that
just specifically on his case.
I haven't done enough research on his actions to argue for him. I haven't done that, so I'm not going to do that.
You're right.
What I am saying is, it might be worth a look to see. It's not that hard to peek in, see what is happening, what isn't happening, and to make a decision based on that. My initial thoughts on him have always been, bruh, trash. I'm not a fan. It's funny. I laugh, like the rest of us. It's always been my process on him. But this interview, it sent me in a space where I'm saying, okay, well, let me go back and peek. Let me go do some research and see what it is that he's actually doing. Let me see if his actions are what he says they are. And if they are, then I'm rocking with it because I love the message.
Okay.
If they aren't, then we off that. It's too easy.
Here's what I'll say, and I agree with you. I haven't done the research to see if he's using how he's monetizing to benefit others. I will say this. You've shown me what you did before you became this character. If you feel like you need to do this to help in my community, hey man, go back to the drawing board. You don't, because before you became this character, you were already effective. The only issue is nobody knew what you were doing, but you still were effective. You didn't have to become this to offer a new way to help. Just show me what you were doing before, and maybe I would support you. I don't know. But I saw what you were doing before you became this character, and I like that. I like what he was doing. The fact that he felt like he needed to become this to monetize for the community. All right. Not all money is good money.
Very true.
If you hustling crack, but you got a good heart, and I'm only hustling this crack to take care of the neighborhood, hey, bruh, save your money. I don't want your money. I appreciate where your heart is at, but you ain't got to do that to help me. That's all I'm saying.
Skeen?
I don't know what he's
Skeen.
doing with that money. I know what he's doing to get it.
And
And I'm cool on that. I'm cool on that.
I
Because you
think
know what? When people start finding out who's giving me the money and it's a bad look.
Go ahead, Skeens.
well, you know, you was talking about selling crack. I think what Charleston is doing, he's not selling crack, but he's doing the proverbial slow money, but for show money. Now, for people understand what that means, you understand what that means. So he took I think he said he took what, a quarter mil instead of the 5,000, because he said my value is with my people. If you take me from my people, you take my value.
Yeah,
He understands taking the quarter million as a loss leader. So in business, you talk about you give things away to make money on the back end. He understands I'm not gonna take the short. I don't want all the money right up front, because if I stay with my people and I stay connected, no matter how the type of connection that he has, there's going to be a lot more than $5 million coming. Now, does he use that 5 million to take care of a lot of people? Don't know, but they have the old song, "Ain't nothing going on but the rent." You can't be a broke activist, because the activities mean nothing when you can't finance those activities. So possibly he is using this satire as a way to finance his whatever endeavors, and however he's taking care of people, because he talks about, hey, everybody around me, I'm making sure they're eating. They have a YouTube channel. They doing this. It's almost like Kevin Hart with his friends. Hey, I'm gonna make sure everyone around me is positioned to make money off me, which in turn they can take care of their families. So, but once again, it's bigger than just him. I look at it from a standpoint, from a bird eye view. When I first saw him, I knew it was satire. I knew he was playing a character, because if you understand being in certain environments, you understand certain people and certain hustles. What he's doing, it's a hustle. That's not really who he is to a certain extent. Now, as they say, there's truth in every joke. But the first time I saw him, I knew he was playing a role. But in order for to win the Grammy or the Emmy, somebody got to see it.
Indeed. And I think overall, as we put a button on this, I'm gonna let each one get y'all part and shot. But and the kind of I know we got these two creatives on here that probably got something to promote too. But I think Charleston is really is the multifaceted contradiction of us all, right? You know what I'm saying? Is what he, like Skeens was talking about. He represents, especially in the hip hop culture, not all of hip hop, but a massive part of it is a walking contradiction. It's a contradiction to itself. You know what I'm saying? So is my delivery, again, y'all know me, my delivery is nowhere near that, but I have enough wherewithal to eat the meat and spit out the bones of what he's talking about, as far as that piece of it is concerned. Is if he's giving back to the community and things of that nature, I could, again, echo both of you guys, I haven't done the research to know what he did in the past or what he's doing now, but let's just say let's just give him let's say he did what he did before and was with the Walter Cronkites and doing all these things and working on legislations, I could definitely say that he's done more than 90% of the folks that we know off top, just from that alone, right? So he was moving in the right direction. Now, what is there a method to his madness? Is it going to achieve a better goal? That remains to be seen. Um, but I definitely want to say that I agree with Kai as far as uh I didn't deal with youth in the same capacity that Kai did, working with kids that were in in the juvenile system, if I'm saying that correctly, Kai. But like you said, a big thing, and Kai and I have talked about this in dealing with teenagers, a lot of times what you're saying doesn't resonate with them. And we talked about what they look for is consistency with you over time, and seeing you after they watch you for a while, they're like, okay, man, this dude is a consistent example of what he has been saying. Now I have all this cachet with this young man that I can, all this stuff is there. I got a young man that you and I both know where it was a similar thing like that. He watched me for a very long time to now we have this relationship where if he's in the gym or if he's going through something, he calls me. You know what I'm saying? And we have a beautiful relationship like that now. But like you said, King, it is based off of what he saw in the example of me doing. I'm a devout Christian, not perfect, but it is. I don't go around. Y'all know me. I'm not rah, 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 rah. I let my life be an example of what it is. And then you could come back. And then it's like, what is that thing about Jay? I'm curious about how you move like this. What helped you shape your moral fabric and how you move with your family and all this other kind of stuff like that. So I think it's just there's some truth in what he says. The delivery, it is what it is. But I think the bigger conversation, and I understand the piece of it, not everybody's gonna go, but I think we still have to improve in the method of the delivery and how we what are the examples that we show. There are examples in the neighborhoods, as Kai is saying, of the activists and the peoples that are on the grassroots version of things. But the celebrities, because of all of the social media platforms and stuff like that, they have more pull, in my opinion, than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? They have that huge pull. And again, talking about our culture, us all being hip hop babies on this right now, one of the biggest challenges for me as I've aged and I'm 41 years old now, I'm like, Jay, how do I reconcile all of this mess that I see in here that these young men and women are using as their example now? How do I better do that? How can I reconcile that stuff? How can I do it? It's just like the conversation with the dude D1, right?
Yep.
And talking about Rick Ross and Meek Mill. Meek Mill, on one hand, is saying prison reform, but in his music, he's still talking this part over. How do I reconcile these two things? And I know we make the example of, well, you don't look at the movie and do that. You don't look. In general, we don't, but we're talking about in this culture, we do. And we got to do something about that. We understand that you can watch a movie, and when we saw Denzel, we weren't trying. We don't, but it's something about the culture of this music where we do, and that's something that we got to deal with. How do we reconcile? I don't know that yet, but I'm gonna finish with King last. Skeens, you got any parting shots?
No, I appreciate the conversation, man.
Yeah, I
More of
appreciate y'all jumping
anything,
on for
because
real.
we need these conversations need to be had on a grand scale. You know, yes, we start grassroots, but the grass needs to grow
Mm-hmm.
somehow. Uh, but unfortunately, and it's not just the music per se. Even though the music has a big thing, has a lot to do with it, but a lot of it also needs to start in the house,
Oh,
and
for sure.
and people understand that the music is the music, but the music don't make you, and the music don't make you do something, jump out your body and do something you ain't supposed to be doing. So I've listened to music, coming up. I've heard it all,
Mm-hmm.
from the 3 6 and on and up. Been in the club and saw in it and listened to it, but it never made me jump out of being me.
Mm-hmm.
I had fun. It didn't make me want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Never, Never had any problem. I've been to some of the worst spots by myself in many cities. Never had an issue. But a lot of that is because of my upbringing, my environment, my tribe.
Yeah, there you go.
Looked out, taught me to one appreciate me, appreciate my people,
Yeah,
to respect all this around me, and to love all this around me.
yeah.
And therefore, it all came back to me in that same manner. So we need to start in the houses. We need to start with more big brother programs. How do we touch each other and be each other's crutches? Post slavery, that's the reason why you had Weeksville, which is basically Brooklyn. A lot of people don't know that. You had Slocum, Texas. A lot other places that was quote unquote Black Wall Street outside of being Black Wall Street, but because they stuck together
For sure.
and they understood each other, and that togetherness is the reason why they prospered.
Scoop, we're gonna let King go last, because he gonna have the longest take. So,
Man, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of his way, but I'm gonna say,
Come on, man.
I'm gonna go ahead and get out of his way, man. I'm gonna say, Skeens said that the grass needs to grow, and I think manure, helps grass grow too. I think the manure is the individual who who sparked this conversation. I think that fertilized this grass, and now we just got to water it. We need to start having these conversations more often. We need to have these conversations, and the conversation, I know that these conversations are happening, but they just need to happen more in abundance. We need to move past the message and get to action on the thing. I'm sorry, the messenger, and we need to get to the message. So yeah, that's my part in shot, man. Manure. It makes the grass grow too, bro.
Also the Unreasonable Man forthcoming album to be released December 22nd.
December 22nd, The Unreasonable Man is forthcoming. Great project, completely led by God, led by family, led by friends, led by downs, led by ups. Yeah, man, it's a great space. It isn't for everybody, but it is for someone.
Okay, love it. So that's Scoot's new project that he has coming. For those that don't know, he is an elite MC, and he's made a beautiful, beautiful project to, in my estimation, encompass the totality of his life's journey to this point. So can't wait for that to come out. We'll continue to promote that. To our closing hitter.
I want to.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to throw something else out there real quick.
Sure.
I have gotten my first paid show, and it's from the city of Killeen, man. The city of Killeen has paid me to come out and perform in April. So in April, I got a whole 30-minute set. I'll give y'all more details when I get all the information. But I'm going to perform the whole album, whole 30 minutes, man. I'm going to perform the whole album. Yeah. It's very special that Killeen, the city that I come from, I used to say that I'm never going to go back to Killeen until I got something, to give y'all. Something to give back to. And I feel like this is that. So, yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
Okay. King?
I just want to say, once again, I respect y'all. I love y'all, man. And brotherhood is a verb. And our job is to speak to each other. Our job is to challenge each other's thoughts in order to keep us on par, as well as challenge each other. And I think that we are continuing that in action. And I really appreciate the opportunity, although it's been 3 years since I've been invited back to the platform.
Shut it up. I'm going to go back and really look at the last time he came on, since he talking noise.
Hey, how
You're
But
gonna
many
I,
be
books
I
you
mad.
got?
definitely appreciate you guys inviting me back. And like I said,
He's been
just
writing a
want you to
book.
know,
He was writing a book in the midst of us talking.
And
I guarantee you.
he was killing my finances with
I,
all them
He got
books.
a whole book.
I respect y'all. Scoot, I'm proud of you, man. I love your music. I'm anticipating your music. Honestly,
I
I
appreciate
can't
it,
wait
bro.
to hear it, man. And I love your message. We're on the same frequency. As far as what we're talking about, life is all about options. And we have been given the gift of discernment. And at this point, age wise, I think that we are all coming into being elders. It's important for us to use that gift of discernment and to see through and offer better options for people who if you're looking for options or a different flavor from Charleston, if you must need a Texas guy who speaks your language, that can be ratchet sometimes. If you need an option, Stack 5 Steven Jackson is your man. He speaks your language. He's rooted in the community. He can be ratchet, but I know what he's doing with his time, and he's constantly elevating. There's always options. Use discernment. Stay on your frequency. Don't go down to reach people. Give them something to reach towards, man. I love you guys. I respect you guys. I appreciate the combo.
Yes, sir.
And for the record, he was on episode
Nah, he
50
really
of
did
How
look,
Did
didn't
We
he?
Get Here 1 year ago, and the title
Did a whole
was
year.
see how much I love you is that I titled it because in there somewhere you said it was a life reminder, a reminder of life, and I named the episode and we talked about dying empty. So just to show how much love and reverence we have on this show for you, I named it based off of what you said in the episode.
The
We got a
unofficial
whole
host
episode.
that
Give
only
me some
appears a
give me
year
some
at a
respect.
time.
All right, y'all. It's been another episode of How Did We Get Here? Imparting from King Kai, imparting from the Pizza Man's son, aka Scoot, aka the Unreasonable Man, imparting from Skeens, aka the Wizard of Oz, aka Osama Ware, aka the man that is always heard and never ever will be seen.
Never.
I'm your host, Jay Carter, and we're gonna holler at y'all next time. Peace and love.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.